Hi everyone, this is Alexia Landa. We're back to the Forecast podcast, and today I'm just so excited. I even have chills right now. I think the energy is just amplifying as this is starting. I have a very special guest, and the special guest has known me my whole life. He kind of saw me even grow in my mom's tummy, so if I have a secret, he'll know. Let's hope he doesn't talk about that in this episode. But his name is Miguel. Miguel is this amazing man who has been connected to the tool of detachment and constant change. And it's something I really admire about him because he shows the world how change is okay. Detachment is okay. And that growth that he lives by is just admirable. And the reason why this is such a special occasion, conversation, is because he's my cousin and he knows he's very special to me. So, welcome, Miguel, to the forecast. How are you?
Thank you for having me, Prima. I'm really, really excited. A little bit nervous, but more excited than nervous. And I just thankful for the opportunity. Like you said, I meet you since you were a kid. Your mom is like my second mom, so it's
Yeah.
it's so beautiful to see you grow and to see the woman that you are today. So first, thank you. Then I love you, and let's do this.
Thank you. I love you too. And it's just amazing to see what our moms created because I mean, their closeness, I think they really showed us perseverance. Our moms are very into just constant change. And I think that's a huge part of us. But you've worn it with so much grace and I love to see it. So today, I don't tell, by the way, those who are listening, I don't tell anyone their tool until they are in the now being having this conversation. So your tool being detachment and this constant change, how do you think you've embraced it? How do you think it's been like, because you make it look so easy, but I want to know the deeper stuff. We got to go deep.
Well, it hasn't always been easy. It's not that easy right now, to be honest. But I think it's something that I've been learning for these past maybe 10 years. Um, the first book that I feel confident to say that I read from beginning to end was this book that it was called The Buddha's Teachings.
Okay.
And I don't practice Buddhism, but it was like the first step to this kind of spiritual interaction that I've been having with myself, and it spoke a lot of uh, detachment and not be like uh, attached to stuff, to
Yeah.
stuff, to thoughts, to people, to everything, So I think that was the little um, uh, semilla, how you say,
The, the
the
seed, the
seed.
starter.
Yeah, it
Yes.
was like the seed for me to start like thinking of what is this reality we're living in,
Yeah.
which I totally do not understand at this point, but I feel like I can go through it with uh, a little bit better,
Which I think just shows how you use the tool. It's like I honestly don't know what the reality is, but you're co-creating it. You're choosing that change. If not, it would be comfortable to just stay where you were when you did know what the reality was. Just
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, everything is like a constant change. Sometimes when I meet people that I haven't seen in a long time, they're like, "Whoa, you changed a lot," and it's like, "Yeah, I hope so." Like it's
Yeah.
life, Like it will be a shame to be the same person that you were even yesterday, Like I try to uh, like be better every day. I heard the last podcast with Steven, and he spoke about just being better than myself from yesterday. Like that's my goal.
Yeah.
Even if it's 1%, I want to be better than yesterday. that really resonated with me because that's the way I try to approach life.
Amazing. And I think the reason why I mentioned detachment is because, for example, I'm going to talk a little bit about what you do, which is Highline, which, by the way, the whole family gets nervous about this, guys. So it's like a thing where even me that I know how to be detached, I see it and I still cringe a little, but at the same time it gives me so much happiness because of the detachment to security that you have. Um ability to just walk from one mountain to another and say, well, let's see what happens. Yes, there's a rope. Yes, I'm hanging on the rope, but a rope doesn't seem like enough when I watch this happening to me. You do martial arts, you're an amazing chef, you're cooking to you, it's like a huge art. So, how do you bring in detachment to these different activities? And honestly, just Highline, I think, is the most amazing one. Tell
Yeah,
us.
for now, I think it's the activity that most resonates with me because it's this state of mind of just being in balance, and detach yourself from any thought because whenever you start thinking about something else, that's exactly when you fall. And actually, I had this really beautiful experience a few weeks ago when I was doing Highline, and um, I've been microdosing for some time now, and that really puts me in a really flow state of mind. And I was thinking when I was up there, like, if something fails, if it's something gets broken, if the line like breaks or something like that, like I'm ready to die. Like it's not like I was like, oh, I want to die and I don't mind life and I don't want to live, but I was like, man, if today's my day, I'm good. I feel good about it. Like I wouldn't mind. And I know it was just a thought and it wasn't like actually gonna happen. That's maybe why I was like feeling safe. But at the same time, like it was like, man, I'm ready. Like
Mhm.
I've been living my life at its fullest, and like yeah, it's I don't have any type of something that I really want to do. I mean, obviously, I have goals and I want to do a lot of stuff, but at the same time, it's like I'm okay with what I've done, and I
Yeah.
don't attach myself to any type of idea or reality. Like I just go and do my thing.
I love that. Do you think it has to do with fulfillment? Like you're fulfilled with the person you've because we were actually talking about this before we connected. I asked Miguel, what is the title? Like what title should we use? And you were like, Miguel, like what other title? So that sounded very like fulfilling. Like who I am is my title because you've worked on that detachment from the external and it's become very internal, it's become very this inner dialogue. And you mentioned how in Highline, if you think about something that maybe you shouldn't or it's unbalanced, you fall. So this moment of saying, I'm okay if I leave, do you think it's fulfillment? Is it a mixture of fulfillment, balance, optimism? Like what do you think it is, or how does it feel in you?
I just think that being comfortable with what I do with my days. Um, to be honest, it hasn't always been like this. Before this activity, I used to be a mixed martial arts fighter,
Mm,
and that's another activity which is obviously the family is like, hey, come on, like, why don't you play soccer or something like that? Like now you from fighting now you go to climbing and do highline and all these activities like I'm just like a very, extreme person.
yeah.
But when I used to fight, like I did have this mask, like this fighter mask, that it was my identity.
Okay.
And when I spoke to anyone and I presented myself, it's like, like when you ask me, like, what's your title? Like, how should I present to you? If we were doing this before, I will tell you like, oh, he's a fighter. Like he's a martial artist and that really, I really took that mask and really put it in my face, and it was part of me. And that was one of the journeys that taught me that it shouldn't be like that, because this time when I was fighting, the pandemic hit and everything was stopped, and I was like, who am I if I'm not doing this, and I
Yeah.
started on this trip like, who are you if you don't have this, or if you don't have that, or like, if I take everything away from you, who are you? And I was like, man, I'm nothing. At the same time, when I knew I was everything. So yeah, I think that was one of my, like, the beginnings of my journey of trying to detach myself from stuff. And yeah, it's really, it's beautiful to see that how everything changes,
Yeah.
like we said before, like, everything is a constant change. We're always in an evolution, and yeah, that's
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 amazing. And I see the transformation of, how can I say, for example, when we're growing, right? And we have all these examples out there in the world. We're like, well, I can be this or I can be that, or my parents are this. And you're like, well, I mean, I have potential for this. But then we understand that we have potential for anything and everything. So in that moment, when you take off that mask and you go very internal and you're like, wait, but I am everything. So why am I holding on to certain things, which is, I think, what control is, and anxiety and depression sometimes, which is so scary. But in reality, it's just the moment of transformation. I talked about this on the last podcast, that mud moment of being a seed, and you're trying to water yourself. How do you think in that moment of the pandemic hitting and you being like, oh, I need to take off these masks because I'm more than just a mask? How did you water that seed? You mentioned the book. You meant, like, how did you water that internal inner dialogue to become detached? Because that tool, honestly, as someone who speaks to so many clients, I think it's one of the toughest ones to really obtain and activate in you. Because it connects to family, it connects to having a title, it connects to comparison. So how do you think you started watering that seed for it to grow in such a detached way that now you, I mean, where are you right now? Playa del Carmen, I think, right? And you live in Guadalajara and you're going and doing and exploring. You were in Costa Rica last year, I think it was. And you keep just being like, wait, there's more out there for me, because it's like this projection of you. So everything you see external, you see you. But how did you water that to become that?
Well, for me, it was my connection to nature, to the elements. For me, it was basically doing. I started doing my own, like, growing my own food in my backyard, and that was an activity that really connected to myself, because we are a product of this earth. We are a product of these four elements. We are the ether that joins everything together. So
Mhm.
whenever you do, like, an activity that connects with yourself, that shows you who you really are. Obviously everyone has their own path and their own way to discover that, but for me it was nature, like, going hiking, going camping, starting to get in that permaculture. And that brought me to, well, this trip to Costa Rica, where I went to this eco village, and they basically teach us how to live in a community. And it was a really beautiful trip for me, which is like another chapter in my life where I really connected to my feminine energy, which I had suppressed for basically my whole life as a Latin man. I mean, a lot of men all over the world like this, but I feel like in the Latin culture, we have
Yeah.
this connection to masculinity of, men don't cry, they don't share their feelings, we're tough, we don't, and especially me being a fighter, like, whenever I enter to a room, it's like, oh, I'm the toughest guy here. I will never show vulnerability. like I'm strong, and not seeing your feelings or your internal work really detach you from yourself and from earth and from everything, so I feel it was one of the pathways for me to be in this state of mind.
That's amazing. So it's like the flow of earth, the flow of the elements connected you to this divine feminine, which I think is healing the lineage coming from being in the same family. Just saying. This is kind of personal, but we come from a family where literally there's only two grandsons and a bunch of granddaughters, and all women, just very women focused, but very masculine. Our divine masculine is very activated, it's very prominent. Um, and I think this divine feminine in you is just really showing the lineage what is possible. It's like, you guys just live, just breathe, please. Go outside and breathe.
Yeah.
You can forgive and release, and come on, let's breathe all together. That it's amazing. Thank you for that. And do you think, because when you take it into the elements, um, I know I can have this conversation with you about past lives. How do you think that connects to your past lives? I know why you connect to it, but I know you are so connected that you're gonna know too. But how do you think it's this connection to past lives, and how would you explain to people that they have all those answers within already? They don't really have to, like, how can I say it? They don't really need anyone to tell them who they are, because I think you've taken it in that way. Like, I tell myself who I am, and that's beautiful. And I really work hard on people, not hard. I like to guide people towards them telling themselves who they are rather than expecting an answer from someone. That kind of like freedom to just be and explore. How do you think you connect to that?
I mean, it's not as easy to just go in nature and just be there, because it's not that easy, like you have to do something about it.
Yeah.
For me, it was just doing activities in the outside, like literally just going outside, try to be as barefoot as possible, try to connect with earth. um, Try to do activities in the outside, which like really what connects you to these past lives that we didn't have all this technology and all of these distractions before, like I wouldn't know because I was born in 92, so I've been living with technology my whole life. But at the same time, like you said, like I do feel connected to my past lives and to my ancestors in a way that whenever I'm looking at the fire, whenever I'm feeling the rain, whenever I'm just like feeling the air in my face, walking barefoot, all of those just like it's in my DNA. Like it's just like it's here. This is how this is Earth. This is like our mother. This is where we came from, and
Yeah.
just like being in contact with that means that you are in contact with yourself. And yeah, I feel it's just like doing something outside. For me, it was going on hikes. I did this camp when I was only by myself. I needed took my cell phone. It was quite an experience because like it rained, my food was out. I didn't have any water anymore. I kind of got lost, but it was very beautiful because it was like, man, like this is like I feel so vulnerable. Like I
Yeah.
think like being vulnerable and being open to things happen to you just like grows your experience in here and just makes it easier to go by.
So it's about putting yourself in some sort of vulnerability, a situation of vulnerability to kind of feel.
Yeah.
Like, I'm vulnerable, so I have no choice but to feel. I have no choice but to cry because I really want to cry, or I really want to just be mad right now, and you just let yourself feel, and that's beautiful. I think that's very needed
Mhm.
all the time. Um, I want to ask you, what's the craziest experience you want to share with us? Because my cousin has a lot of experiences and they are always very synchronized with what's next. It's like you're being guided. And I think everyone is, but you have really like amazing stories. So, do you want to share one specific one?
There's a specific one which we actually talk about last year. Well, it was this year when
What is it? Yeah.
my nephew was born, and it was this time where my nephew was born. I was turning 30. I was out of the country. I was in Canada doing this. I was like working, traveling, just like hanging
Yeah.
around, and it was this beautiful experience where I had I had mushrooms in with me, and I wanted to like really have them as not just like a trip, like a trip with my friends or something like that. Like I really hang on to them, and I was like, I'm gonna do this on the time where it has to be like a perfect timing.
Yeah.
And it was this time where I was just like on the road. I was hitchhiking. I was just like going wherever it took me. And I arrived to this place, which was a campground. It was closed. There was no camping season anymore. It was raining. It was starting to snow. I was the only crazy person camping there. So it was really beautiful because I arrived to this place and it was just perfect. There was like fire for me. There was like this little lake. There was no one in there, but at the same time, like I feel really protected, and it was like, you know what? I think this is the moment to do it. And everything just my trip was about how perfect this moment is. I was just amazed on how everything was just like there for me. And yeah, well, it was really weird, and it was really real weird and beautiful at the same time. And yeah, just I cried, I laughed, I was angry. Like I had all these emotions going through me, that it just really made me like understand like what do I want to do in life, which is seek that moment. That's my purpose in life. Well, I think the purpose in life changes as everything. It's in a constant evolution, but for me is to look for the moment, look for that present moment, which I feel whenever I cook, when I do highline, sometimes when I'm in martial arts. Like you feel sometimes that a state of flow where you just act, you just do, you're not thinking about it, you're just like going with it. I
Same.
think that's why I fell in love with highline, because it's a place where you can really prolong that feeling of presence, because whenever you start thinking about something else, that's when you fall. So it's an activity that really focus myself, and suddenly I already walk the whole line. And it's
Yeah.
you don't even perceive time, you don't even perceive yourself, you're only thinking about your balance and your feet. And it's such a beautiful experience, because there's no past, there's no future, there's only that moment. And yeah, I try to aim for that, everything with everything I do. It's a little hard, obviously, because we are always remembering, and we're always trying to figure stuff out in the future. But yeah, whenever you are in that moment, like everything disappears and you are just there, and you are in that presence and you are with yourself, and that's when you really like connect with yourself and with everything.
Definitely. And I love that you mentioned time because when you understand that time doesn't really exist in the form we think it does, time exists in the form of we need structure as humanity, we need structure to coexist. And that's okay, that's beautiful. That's how we kind of connect to each other's spirits and we get to connect to one another. But internally, when time doesn't really exist and you let yourself flow, you stop waiting. You stop waiting for something. You stop waiting for that moment of happiness that you're talking about, that moment of balance, that moment of I'm here just living and experiencing. Because if you think of time, you're always like, oh, when is the happiness coming? When is the balance coming? It's like, no, you have to give it to yourself. Giving it to yourself means action. It means you decide how your emotion is going to be and you connect to it. And that's what I mean with the tool of detachment. You detach from the need to want, but rather feed your needs in the now, which is a lot of self-awareness, that inner dialogue that's very self-aware of right now I need this balance. So where is it? Where can I give it to myself? And that's when you start structuring a lifestyle that fits and suits your spirit, which we all have a different one. It's how you're translating your spirit and how you're becoming this mirror for everyone to be like, oh, that exists. Because I always say that we are like fractions of light of God, and the universe is just a mirror. We're all stars with potential. So this fraction of light needs to coexist with other fractions of light, not become other fractions of light. So when there's no internal time, you're not thinking about what's next. You're just like, what do I need? You set goals because you want commitment with whatever this being is, but you're still experiencing the now by the need. Because wants, if we go into the wants, we're gonna get lost,
We're never gonna end.
right? That's when you go into the what else do I want and what more do I want instead of oh I did enough. How do you connect to enoughness? Like oh I did enough or I feel like enough or that kind of like oh that was enough. I did enough. How do you connect to that?
Well, it's not about the destination; it's about the journey. I think
Love
it's.
that.
I mean, you set goals or you set places because you need a like a way to go, you know. But you don't focus on the place; you focus it's on the journey, like how you're living everything. And I feel that's where the secret is. I was speaking to my mom like a few days ago, and I was telling her like, oh, I want to get my jiu-jitsu purple belt, and she was
Yeah.
like, okay, when you get the purple belt, what are you doing next? Well, I want my brown belt, and then I want my black belt, and then I want this, and then I want that, and she was just asking and asking and asking, and then what, and then what, and then what, and I was like, mom, there's not a place or a moment where I want to be. It's just about like the process of that, you know, like
Yeah.
getting to that place, you know. Obviously it's gonna change because if I fixate I fix my state of mind or wherever I want to go to one thing, whenever you arrive there you are like, well, now what's next, you know. And that's when you kind of feel lost or you don't feel connected to yourself anymore, or that's when you remove the mask and it's like, okay, I'm nothing, you know. And it's sad, you know. I just want
Yeah.
to set goals, and before I get to that goal I already have another one and another one and another one, and I just want to like keep living on it, you know.
Yeah. How do you view then the tool of celebration? Because celebration is that moment when you're like, I did it. I accomplished it. Because to me, celebrating is I like celebrating everything. I'm into you guys, I woke up and I like celebrate with my guides. I'm like, guides, we're doing this again. We're human. Let's keep going. But then I see other people, and birthdays to me are very important because I like to celebrate life. Not because of I want to, how can I, not because of the idea of celebration of a party or if I go to a party, I'm going to have fun. It's more of celebration of everything is fun for me. Everything is joy, like that vibration and that wavelength. What do you think celebration is for you if you live in the now and so detached from even expecting something from others?
I think it's might be like the same for you. Like everything, it's I celebrate everything every day, every time. Like
Okay.
everything is sacred if you think about it. Like
That's
whenever
the
you
word. Uh-huh.
whenever you do something, like it's about that moment. Like I can be just like brushing my teeth, and for me that's a ritual, you know. Like I'm just celebrating myself. Like I have the opportunity to do this, I have the opportunity to be present, and I have the opportunity to live the now without thinking about something else. You know, I think that's something that is really hard for humans to live in the now without being thinking of what someone did to me in the past, or what am I gonna do tomorrow. Like try
Yes.
to like get to that moment, which is like in anything you do. Like you don't have to start to meditate or go do yoga or something like that to like make it special or to celebrate. Like you just have to do it now with whatever you're doing.
Mm.
And I don't know, whenever I'm cooking, whenever I'm doing food, it's like I'm excited, you know, because it's I'm gonna
Yeah.
eat, you know, and I eat every day, so it's not something different, and I basically eat the same thing every day, you know, like it's always vegetables and a type of protein and some carbs. Like it's not even like that hard to do or some different, you know, like, oh, I'm doing this special dish. No, it's the same food, and I get excited. This morning I was doing my oatmeal, which I do every morning to go work out, and it's like, man, how do I get excited of something that I do every day, you know? But I think that's the point. Like, you know, like just celebrate every day because you have the opportunity to do it.
And I think that's the tool of self love and unconditional love. It's not conditioned to a goal or I should be doing this or I shouldn't be doing this. How did you connect to the tool of unconditional love towards yourself, towards others? Because at the end of the day, to live the life you do as a Latino man, very divine feminine, very like I'm doing me, you must receive opinions, and those opinions sometimes can be like, well, I kind of have to be unconditional because I'm just not you. And we talked about it before we connected, the whole what you tell me tells more about you than myself. So how do you think you connect to this tool of unconditional love, of just exploring and being excited to just eat the same thing every day if you have to, but it's for you. It's like, but it's for me and I love myself, so I keep doing it. How did it connect to that?
Um, it's funny because before, like you say, you're always receiving feedback from the outside, you know, they're always commenting on you, even either you want it or not, you're always going to receive something from your family, from your friends, from people from the outside. And before, when I was in not such a good place as I am right now, whenever I received feedback, it was kind of bad feedback, or I feel that I was being criticized. I feel that they were telling me like not good stuff, or just basically more like criticize, you know,
Yeah.
because I wasn't good with myself. So everything that I was receiving, it was bad commenting. So that stopped me from really being myself, you know. But
Yeah.
now, when now I'm really like in love with myself. Like I love my life. I love how I live every day. I'm really connected to both my masculinity and my femininity. And now every feedback that I get, every comment that I get is good. You know, like I don't feel like I'm criticized anymore. And it's not like the world changed. It's not like everyone is different. I am different. So whatever I'm receiving is good because I'm good with me. You know, if I'm bad with myself, like I'm gonna receive bad stuff. So that's when we go to whatever you give or you say to others is what you get. So if you are telling good stuff to yourself, if you're feeling love with you, like that's what you're gonna receive.
I love that. So it's the change of inner dialogue that changes perspective, that changes the world
Yeah,
without it having anyone to change. It's like it's my reality. Yeah.
I think I'm more aware of I create my reality, which it's something that I kind of knew before, but I didn't quite practice it because you know something or you feel something, but you're like not sure about it. But now it's like, man, there's no way I'm not creating this. There's no way I'm not doing this reality because it's so amazing how I meet people in the exact and perfect timing. I just met one of my the people that I really follow. His name is Diego Dreyfus. He's this
I
guy.
know.
He's this guy that well, he's like a, how you say, like motivational speaker or something like that. Like
Yeah, yeah,
he basically works on himself, you know. And it's a person that I really follow because I like his approach to life. He's like, you're gonna die, you know, you're gonna die sometime. Live your life. Don't care about what others think. Do your thing. If you feel good about it, just do it. And you know, he's like, he has this kind of aggressive approach to on how you have to live your days, which is the way I like to like I like to think, which is like, stop bullshitting, just do your thing, like get disciplined, like get to it. And you know, like seeing him here, which is like, how it was so random. I
yeah,
stepped to the gym and he was there and it was like, bro, what are you doing here, you know? And it
yeah,
was a really beautiful interaction, but I took it as, you're doing good. It's another sign from the universe that keep doing your thing, bro. You're doing good. Um, yeah, just keep working on what you're doing. It was a really beautiful sign for me, and I think that's synchronicity, and we spoke about it. I was speaking to that with my mom, and then you text me and it was like, oh, how was it? And you're such in synchronicity with the universe. And I was just talking about with that with my mom, you know. I was like, man, I know, you know, like it's
yeah.
so awesome. It was a really good interaction.
And I think that has to do with the wavelength you're in, the vibration, because every feeling and emotion is a vibration. When I asked you to be on the podcast, it was like this moment of, I know I could have my cousin on the podcast. What he does is amazing, but I don't know why I hadn't thought about it. I don't know why it hadn't been like an instant thought. But then when I message you and you're like, "Oh, I'm kind of working on something." So this totally makes sense. It's like, "Oh, cuz we are on the same vibration." It's like everything starts connecting when you ask for it. And when I talk about co-creation, because I personally don't call it manifestation. I think everything external is manifested, but internally we co-created. And that co-creation is the feeling, the thought, and then the action. And this guy that you're mentioning, he's aggressive, but I think it's this tough love that our physical being needs to break the old patterns. Every time I talk about weightlifting, for me personally, because everyone has their own way of doing things, it's because I feel the moment I break old patterns. I feel the force. So it's your own way of having this tool of tough love, of saying, I have my balance. I live in this non-duality of the moment I have to be divine feminine and I feel and I cry and I receive from earth and I touch. But then that other moment where it's divine masculine and I have to act and be tough and understand that I have potential and there is a possibility. So it's this constant movement and kind of like wave or dance. Yes, which you do in Highline.
Highline, it's Highline. You know, it's Highline. That's why that activity is so connected to myself right now because it's, you
Yeah.
can go full masculinity or go full femininity because I fall, you know. And the point is to be in the middle. But you're not always to be here. Sometimes you have to walk like this in my masculinity side, and sometimes I have to walk like that on my feminine side. Doesn't mean that it's good or bad, you know. It's just it's life. You go, come and go, and the point is to be in the middle as much as you can, which is never, it's never like that. It's just a few moments where you're like, oh shit, I'm standing, like I'm in the ground, you know, like I feel so balanced. and it's not always like that because you're always fighting for that. And I think that translates to the destination and the journey, because the destination might be like just being there,
Mm-hmm.
ending up, which is okay. It's cool, but man, I want to feel like I'm falling and then I get my balance back, and that's the part of the journey, which is the fun part. It's that's basically how we live life.
That's the experience of the spirit. That's what the spirit came to do, to experience and go into both things. And at the end of the day, it's whatever you need to nurture more. Because I think we go through stages of, oh, right now I really need to nurture my divine masculine, or right now I really need to nurture my divine feminine. So in the long run, it's still a balance. It's just a teamwork. So how do you think you made your divine feminine and divine masculine this team?
Just recognizing them, like just letting them be. As I said before, I had my femininity very suppressed my whole life, and not being in contact with it didn't make me whole, because
Yeah.
we have both energies. Either you're a man or you're a woman, or whatever you want to be. You have both energies, but as a man, my masculine energy is higher than my feminine energy, and you as a woman, your feminine energy is higher than your masculine feminine. Doesn't mean that if you're a woman, you cannot have a lot of masculine energy, and vice versa. It's just recognizing that we are this duality, having this experience as human, and just embrace it and be like, okay, I have both, and it's okay to feel both. It's okay for me to be aggressive and like be tough and do martial arts and fight, and yeah, I'm tough motherfucker. And it's okay to, man, I want to cry. I want to speak about my feelings. Like I don't feel good. I want to feel protected. I'm vulnerable. I can be hurt, and me as man, as Mexican, as a fighter, is like, oh, I will never show you my vulnerability. I will never show you my disabilities, or whatever I'm not strong in, and whenever you are like, okay, I'll just show it to you, like, I don't mind. It doesn't make me more or less if I show it or not. It just makes me myself. And whenever you are comfortable with that, that's when you like express yourself at the fullest.
I love that. And I want to share something a bit personal because you are my cousin and you've been a huge part of my life. And when I was a little girl, I was a huge crybaby. I would cry about everything. I was so sensitive. Like, my sensitivity level was 100%. I was scared about so many things. I would try to hide because I would see so many things and I didn't know no one else would see them. To me it was normal. I would sense everyone's emotions and it was like, well, why am I feeling sad or why am I feeling this anger? And I didn't know what to do with it. But I'm always going to be very grateful that you showed me what masculinity was. So I want you to understand purpose because the beginning of your years was very masculine. And now that you're balancing, it's like sometimes we need to understand the purpose of things. Things don't just happen, everything is divine. Everything is connected to that divinity of how are we interacting with each other that has an impact. Again, that fraction of light coming down that has an impact towards everyone. And your impact towards me was that, hey, stop being scared. Hey, like, why are you crying? Like, why? Explain. And you were ready to listen. I just didn't know how to speak up sometimes.
Yeah.
And you would push me to speak up, like, just say it. So it was it, and it sounds tough, but it wasn't tough. It was this unconditional love of, I'm here listening. I'm here to teach you. Like, come on, get it together. And we, our family always makes fun of us, but because we always have these crazy stories of him, like he has this huge imagination, and I was always part of it because in a way I trusted. It was like, I don't understand it, I don't know what's going on.
Well, let's go. Yeah.
It's, hey, it looks fun, I'm scared, but let's do this. So you were this part of that divine masculine that I had to awaken in me, and that I understand my purpose. My divine feminine had a lot to do with that's missing in the family. That was a huge part of something missing in the family. So it's this balance that it starts with whoever's around you first, and it creates this purpose. So even though right now in your life it's taking you to a balance, everything has had a purpose, everything has had a potential, everything has had impacted the right way. And how do you think that someone can connect to purpose and fall in love? Because we talked about falling in love with yourself, but there's this moment of understanding that, okay, I haven't done anything wrong then, because everything had a purpose. How did he connect to that?
How do I connect to um can you
To
repeat?
Yeah. So let's talk about like a whole lifetime story. There's a
Mhm.
lot of people who carry this, well, I should have been different, or I should have known earlier. I hear the phrase a lot of, well, if I knew when I was 20, my life would have been better by now, or my life would have been different, or oh my God, where would I be now? Like all those phrases that obviously are just ego in a sense, the subconscious trying to play games. How do you fall in love with your story? Because it's beautiful and it has purpose. It's like saying, I'm not against the masculine. I just embraced the feminine. But how did you fall in love with that?
Just accepting what your reality is, like I can tell you like, oh, if I knew this at this time, if I knew this and I did that, and if I didn't do this, like, you don't know, like, you don't know where you'll be, like, you never know where yourself was going to be, because it doesn't exist. What exists is today. And whenever you accept yourself as you are, that's when you are like, okay, this is my time. That's why this didn't happen. When you detach yourself from a result or a state, um, when you are comfortable with that, and but to reach that point of saying like, okay, this is how it is, and I accept it. You have to be comfortable with yourself, and to be comfortable with yourself, you have to be comfortable with your decisions, and to with whatever you do. So that's why it's really important to really do what you love. Have a passion, have a hobby, have a sport, have a martial arts, have something that really connects with yourself, so you can understand that today and now it's perfect, and there's no other way that it can be. And like, this is the reality that it was always there for you. Like, there was not anything different. Even if you are going through a bad, like a bad period of time, it's being like, okay, I'm like this right
Mhm.
now, because I'm going to be better in the future. To be honest, the beginning of this year for me, it was really hard. Never in my life I thought that I will say that I had depression. And how can I have depression if I have everything? I have my family. I have security. I have a job. I have money. I have liberty. I have everything that I can do. Why am I feeling like this? And it was a really dark place for myself, because I'm always, well, not always, but this past decade, I have really been confident with myself, and being in a place where I was not confident of myself. I didn't like me, my body, what I was projecting. But there was this little voice inside my head that it was, it's okay, bro. It's just a phase. It's just this period of time. It's gonna get better. Tomorrow didn't get better. I was worse, but it's okay, man. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. Just like having faith of everything is gonna uh, balance itself. Like, everything's going to get in order. But it's hard, to be honest. It's really hard to get to that and do it alone. it's even harder. That's why it's important to um, speak with people which is going to give you more growth, or listen to good podcasts like, for example, Diego Dreyfus. I told him, like, man, thank you. That's the only thing I said to him. Like, I don't want to interrupt your workout or anything like that. I want to show to be like a fan, which I am, but I don't want to like make it uncomfortable. I just want to say thank you, man, because what you do really helped me get out of the glass of water I was drowning, you know. And I think that's why it's important to listen to those type of podcasts, read books that help you grow. Um, Doing sports, eating good, hanging around with good people, being in a place that helps you grow, because you can go places where the energy is not that good. Like I could go maybe cure my depression going partying or drinking or just doing drugs so I can disattach from this reality, but that is something partial, you know. It doesn't go to the root of the problems. So yeah, just like be conscious of what your like, you know, ambiente, like the
Yeah,
like
the surroundings, the
surroundings
ambience,
are,
everything.
because that's the only thing you can control. We don't have control about anything except for the conditions and the atmosphere where we at, you know. If you're We are not trees, move if you don't like where you are, you know, like. And that's the only thing you can manipulate: the people, what you hear, what you see, what you feel, whatever you can control with your senses. Like, that's the only thing we have control of. So try to be in the best situation so you can get the best of everything. I think that's like kind of the
Yeah.
secret to do it.
Yeah, instead of choosing instant gratification, you choose yourself.
Yeah.
And choosing yourself takes you through this because I think when you feel depressed, which is being suppressed somehow, you have to feed your soul of whatever is asking you for. It's like a moment of nurturing, a moment of feeding yourself of whatever you truly need. Um, and how you explain community, because I think that's something that's very you really have a community. It's like you find the people, you connect to people, you express your soul to people, but obviously you do it wisely. You know who and who not to. And how do you tell people to be open to finding a community? How do you do it? What is that like next step to do?
Well, for me, it goes to the activities I do, you know, like I think sports, especially martial arts, it's something that should be in everyone's life. First, because you need to know how to defend yourself. You need to know discipline. You need to know to
Yeah, that's
respect others and to be open to learn. Like, not being like, oh, I know more than you, so you are not going to teach me. And no, you never know. I have learned a lot of stuff from people that doesn't have the ability that I have, but they see it differently. Everyone has their own perspective, so surrounding yourself with different types of perspective and being open of learning from everyone, that's I think that's one of the main things. But obviously, you need to know with who are you going to do it. You know,
Mhm.
that's why it's important to do it with good activities. I mean, for me, it's martial arts. For some people, is weightlifting, yoga,
Yeah.
or going for a run or something like that. Just try to find that community of the activity that you do, because you get with people that have kind of the same approach to life that you have, you know, because you're both doing that activity, so you are connected in some way. I mean, obviously there are some times where you go to a gym or to a place where you are doing this activity, and well, the vibe is not that good. The people is has another perspective, and then you have to be open to be like, okay, this is not the place for me. Sometimes we are like, man, I want this place to be for me. I want to be part of this community. That really happened to me when I was little. Like I really wanted to be in the group of friends, the popular ones. So for me to do that, I have to act differently and act according to their standards so I can be part of that group. But that wasn't me, that wasn't the way I was living my life. So I was kind of um, faking something that I wasn't. So I think it's important to identify which group you want to be part of. And I think it's a little hard. Oh, for me, it wasn't to identify who I wanted to be part of, but because I have a passion and it's something that movement for me, it's my passion and it's my the thing that I do every day. But I have spoken with some people that they don't know what their passion is, and it's like, man, you need to look for it, and I'm sure you know it, but you are deciding to do something else so you can be part of a society that doesn't even recognize you, like doesn't even want to. They don't care about that. So I think that's why it's really important to find something that really fulfills yourself and you feel passionate about, so you can try to be around those type of people and just be open to learn.
Yeah, and I think it's the tool of self-acceptance, the tool of being okay to be the different one, being okay to have mirrors. I think that's a tough one for some people, having mirrors. When there's no self-acceptance, seeing a mirror can be tough because it's like, oh, I see a part of me that I don't want to see, that I haven't accepted, that I haven't recognized because they live in the duality of something's good or bad, or so they start faking it to be part of whatever seems to feel okay or seem okay or it's accepted by others. So it's like living life by someone else's expectations and ideologies and all these things. And I think that even when you have a passion and you're part of that type of community, people need to understand you don't look alike, you don't think alike. So you have to use the tool of being a student, like you said, learning, because we are students every single day. It's like even this talk is, it's like I'm being a student right now. It's seeing this other side of my cousin that, although I know we can have these conversations all the time, um, every day we change. Every day we change. So seeing the constant change from last time I saw you, it's like, oh, I'm being a student right now. Okay, what's going on? I love it. Even hearing about this tool of faith that you connected to, that it's very admirable because it's tough for people to connect to faith. It's like, so you did it without expecting anything from it. Yeah, the next day wouldn't change, but it was your tool of detachment that helped you keep going because you weren't expecting it to change. You were just adding to your day to day. So that's also very admirable and beautiful. So, what do you think your purpose is? That's my question right now. You mentioned it, but I I want to go a bit deeper. Like, if we talk about the forecast, which is the vibration of where you stand right now, what do you think your purpose is right now?
um, I think my purpose right now is to look for my purpose. It's to be in that place where I'm discovering myself. I'm feeling I feel comfortable with myself right now. So I'm just like, okay, let's see where this takes you, Obviously I have ambitions and I love movement. For me, that's something that is really part of me. And seeking the moment through movement right now, it's kind of my purpose at this moment, but it's my purpose, that activity is my purpose to find my purpose. It's kind of like a tricky answer, I guess.
No, but
But
that
yeah.
totally makes sense. That totally makes sense. It's the action that takes you there.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
basically just just looking for that. And I don't want to find it, to be honest, because like the part of looking is like the
The
cool part,
fun.
you know, the fun, because you're, I don't know, like playing hide and seek, like looking for the person is like the fun part, you know, because you found it and it's like, oh yeah, I found you, ah, okay, game's over. And it's like, but the feeling of I'm looking, I'm trying to see, and you know, that's like the fun part for me.
Yeah.
And that's, I want to
Well,
live in that state of mind. That's why I'm always changing my purpose and my goals and the places I want to reach, because for me it's about the like the journey. It's actually it's a good example for me fighting. And I tell my mom everything. You know, I'm really close to my mom, so I,
yeah.
whenever I think about this stuff, it's like, oh, a conversation I have with my mom, because she's my major mirror. You know, she's like the person which I see myself most of.
Yeah.
And I was telling her that, I mean, I love fighting, but when I'm in the cage, I'm terrified. You know, like there's another person that wants to rip my head apart. You know, and it's scary
Yeah.
to be in a cage with someone else and you're fighting and everything. It's really hard for me to fight. But for me, the preparation for the fight, like the fight camp, that's
Amazing.
that's what I love. You know, like the everyday waking up early, going to train, preparing myself, knowing that I have to do have a certain weight, knowing that this date is coming. Like I can live in that moment forever. And then the fight comes and it's like, okay, okay, I don't want to fight. You know, I just wanted to prepare myself. And
Yeah.
it's like it's so, and I feel that's my approach in life. Like I love the preparation, because when the moment comes, it's over. You know, that's the end of the road. And yeah, I just that's why I love the journey of everything. Like
I
just
love
part of that.
always being in the now. And also, I think it's very symbolic because your favorite game when we were younger was hide and seek, and you were so good at hiding. He would be in the washer, in the dryer, next door. Like he was always so good at hiding that you couldn't find him. So it's so symbolic. It's like our inner child already knows all the answers. It already knows what it's here to do. And I love that your purpose is to prepare your spirit. It's like you're preparing your spirit as a human for something, which is so powerful. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's
So
like a constant evolution that it's taking you to a place that you, I don't know, I just see you touching it, but saying, nah, not yet. You touch it. You're like, yeah, I see the reality, but not yet, not yet. I still have more to play. This is my playground. So that's
I,
amazing. Yeah.
I'm still a kid. I just changed my toys. You know, like they're just grown up
Yeah.
toys. You can go into my room and there's a few clothes, but there's a lot of stuff where which I can play with. You know, like I have my climbing gear, my training gear. Like I have my shoes for everything. I even have shoes for cooking. Like I love like all of those. I always had. You know how attached I was to my toys. You know, like it was like this is
I
my
remember.
when I love to play with this, and I took them everywhere and I didn't lend it to anyone. And it's the same right now. It's just different toys, but I'm still a kid. I'm still playing every day, and yeah, just I feel really connected to my younger self.
And you take that tool of inner stability and take it to the journey, right? That inner stability of I know who I am, I'm balanced now, so I get to play on earth,
Yeah,
which is amazing. I do think that sometimes we get so lost in importance, what is important, and we forget the only thing that's important is ourselves. My approach to life is that our spirit took a psychedelic and then woke up as a human and was like, let's do this, let's play. And we're
that's
here
that sounds really really amazing. I'm gonna
and
write that.
Yeah, we're just experiencing life, and it's like, who am I? Alexia? Oh, okay, I'm Alexia. How do I want it to look? I want to be happy. I want to be okay. Happiness is in constant change. Oh, I'm sad now. Okay, what does sad mean? When I'm eating, how does it taste? So it's this spirit having an experience of something that is so unknown. Yet we want to know everything, but everything is unknown. It's just how it is. And making it mundane to me is it's my play. Mundane as in I get to go to the grocery store. Oh my God, there's so many options. And I don't know, I've had moments in my life where maybe I couldn't buy everything at the grocery store, but it was like, oh, but I get to buy this. This is enough. This is all I need then. So it's that perspective of playing, which I love that you mentioned. I have my toys. They just look different than when I was like 7 years old. That's amazing. Like that's a constant evolution. That's what's supposed to happen, and that's true maturity. That's the true maturity of we are here to experience. We're not here to take in any unnecessary responsibility, which is the control, which is the attachment. Your tool is detachment, which is the attachment to, I said I was going to be this when I was 19. It's like, honey, but you're 28 now. 19 was someone completely different. And it doesn't mean that I don't commit to myself or I don't have goals. It means that I understand that as life takes me through the evolution, it might change a little. And that's detachment. So, to end this episode, what do you think your forecast for the next 6 months? I know you mentioned kind of like the tool of discovery, but what do you think your commitment to like the toolbox that you are building, that you are filling up with all these activations of tools is going to look like? Or what else do you want to connect to? That you're like, ah, I see it and I want to feel it.
So everything that I'm doing now, I want to level up, you know.
Okay.
I'm still doing the same thing I'm doing right now. I just see myself in a higher level. Uh, if I climb a certain level, in 6 months I want to be climbing higher. I want to be reading more. I want to be training more. I want to have more control of my body. I want more time of good eating. You know, it's just like elevate myself in the things that I'm doing right now, because the things that I'm doing right now, they are my true passion, they are my true love, and this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Just rise myself in the activities I do. I don't I don't want to do. It's not that I don't want to do something new, but I feel like I want to be more, well, not a total expert, but I want to be way better on what I do right now in the future. Just keep working on myself. Like I'm still in my journey of growing. So just keep growing, keep doing my thing, and that's how I'm approaching life. Like just keep doing what I'm doing right now. It feels so good for me, and I see it with the people that I manifest in my life, and my family, and everyone is just
Yeah,
I'm just listening to the feedback that I'm getting, and it's good. So it means that I'm just sorry. I'm just like doing my thing, like keep doing what I'm doing.
that's amazing. So the tool of potential, reaching your highest potential. You see the mountain, you're like, I'm gonna climb you.
Yeah,
I love
just
it.
keep. I don't feel I have my maximum potential yet. To be honest, I don't think I will ever have it. And whenever I have it is when I'm going to join with the force and just
Yeah,
like stop having this human experience. Whenever that's over is because you were ready to just start your new life, start over again and over again. And yeah, I just want to keep doing it.
yeah, very connected to your higher self. That's what
Yeah.
it is. It's beautiful. Very balanced. I really didn't want this to end. This was amazing. Thank you so much for being here. It meant so much that you said yes as my cousin, as the person you are. Where can people find you if they want to keep seeing your life happening? Because your Instagram is amazing, but I don't know what you want to share.
Yeah, it's Chilo Samurai. So Chilo Samurai. It's my nickname and the name of the gym that I work out in, and that's actually where I'm sharing all of my experiences. To be honest, I'm not sharing to to obviously I'm sharing it to the world, but it's more for me. It's like my blog. Like I'm just uploading stuff just for me to have it in a portfolio. But there are some cool stuff there. I try to just share what I do. If it resonates with you and helps you in your journey, like I'm glad. If not, like I honestly don't care. But I'll just share with that. And Prima, I just want to tell you, like I'm so proud of you. Like seeing how you've been grown. Uh, see how your transformation when you were a kid as to what you are now. I see the woman that you have become, and I'm so proud of you. I love you so much, and I'm really thankful that you invited me. It was such an honor when you told me that, and thank you. Just thank you, and I will never stop thanking for everything that your mother, and the family has done for me. And yeah, it's such a beautiful experience that we can be in this similar journey.
Yeah.
Just keep growing ourselves, and whenever I've always been there for you, and I will always be. And let's do this again because I had such a fun time. It's really awesome.
Thank you. I love you and I'm so proud of you. So proud of you. I mean, I looked up to you. We are just like 2 years apart, but you were always by my side and I was always by your side. So I'm very grateful for that and just seeing you grow and know you and know the purpose that you've grown into. It's just amazing. And you're the first person to make me cry on a podcast. So
Ah,
congrats to you.
right. I'm like, man, my masculinity is like, man up, bro. We don't cry right now.
Yeah, but I'm very grateful it was you and that you're here and that you were open and that you spoke about so many things that are so vulnerable and I get to experience that with you because it's special. It's very special to be the one asking you these things and just being here. So I'm so proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep shining. Keep showing the family we can do everything and anything. Just being in the high line, I'm like, okay, sure. I can't do that, but I'll translate it in my language then. But it's just amazing, and I'm so grateful for your mom, your dad, your sister, my new nephew. Just such a beautiful family, and the mirrors you guys create towards mine is amazing. So I'm very grateful. Thank you again, and everyone and anyone who wants to just watch him keep growing and going through evolutions and hearing very good stories. Trust me, he's the storyteller in the family. Um, Follow him. I'll leave everything on the description. And thank you so much, everyone, for listening. I'm grateful for all of you too, and sending so much love and light. I hope everyone has an amazing week. And remember, it's the week of the tool of detachment. So enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Prima.